Hey everybody, it's Pastor John with your Midweek Reflection. I am wearing my hat because it has been cold this week, if you didn't notice. But we are going to be talking about hell this week. Last week we talked about heaven, and I hope that was helpful. You can listen online as usual. Just go to our website and click on the twisted logo on the front page, and it'll take you right there. But this week we're talking about hell, and I was thinking about a bus trip that I took back in college. I played baseball, and every March we would take a bus down to Florida so we could play the first games of the season in the nice warm weather. And on those bus rides we would always watch movies like the whole time, so like 20 hours of movies. And one of the movies that I saw was the original Saw movie. I don't know if you're familiar with Saw, but Saw is like a horror movie. It's kind of a thriller kind of thing. And I gotta tell you, it's not my kind of movie. I'm not a big horror movie fan. And one of the reasons, like when I watch these movies, I always think like, who comes up with this stuff? Who comes up with like these different torture ideas and these different ways that people are just being hurt or hunted or whatever the case is? Like it disturbs me in a sense that there are people who just like think about these things and imagine these things. And I was thinking about that this week because sometimes we have this view of hell that it's like this torture chamber, and that like God has come up with all these different ways of torturing people to punish them for the things they've done. And I'm kind of disturbed by that when I think about other people coming up with these things. And I think it's even more disturbing to think about God, whether he's coming up with the punishments or not, just having this kind of eternal torture chamber, which is kind of how we've come to think about hell. Those are some of the images of hell that we have in our culture, and I'm not sure that they're helpful for us. We believe as Christians that God is like Jesus. So if we want to know what God is like, we look at Jesus. And I guess I don't see in the Gospels Jesus, having any interest in having people coming up with creative ways for people to suffer for eternity. And so we're gonna re-examine some of the popular beliefs we have about hell this week. And I'm going to preach a sermon that I don't usually preach, and it's a sermon where I'm going to be probably taking, 6, 7, 8 different texts from the scriptures in bits and pieces. And usually I don't preach those kind of sermons because I don't trust those kinds of sermons. Because you can take a piece here and there, a verse or a sentence or a phrase here or there from the scriptures, and you can almost say anything with it. And we see preachers do this all the time, just like kind of cherry pick scriptures out of context and use them. But I'm going to be doing that in some ways, hopefully not out of context, of course, this week. But here's the difference. Here's the difference of how we're going to look at hell. Usually people take a bunch of different scriptures from all kinds of different biblical writers and books and everything, and try and put them together into one simple idea. They try and bring all these different people together and say, oh yeah, they're all talking about the same thing. And that's where we get those sermons get off. We're not really listening to these voices in their context. But what I want to do this week is I want to go the other way. I want to say that we've taken all of these scriptures and come up with these kind of not great ideas about what hell is, and instead I want to take these scriptures and kind of diversify and expand our view and understanding of what the scriptures have to say about judgment and hell and the afterlife. And so we're going to be going the different direction. I want us to listen to these voices speak for themselves and see the really diverse ways that Scripture talks about these things, instead of kind of this one image of hell that we have in our minds from Dante's Inferno or popular culture, that kind of thing. So anyway, that's where we're going with hell this week. Think about think about the images that you have in your mind about what hell is, and we're going to try and throw those out and start from scratch this Sunday. So as always, I look forward to worshiping with you as we live the gospel life together. And until then, may God bless you.